we haven't had anyone else sign in yet. I'm keeping an eye on the participants list. So again, I've apologized to everyone else. I was a week behind myself, or a week ahead of myself, and thought the meeting was next week, which is why I didn't give notification early enough to everyone. So I apologize for that. I will be going out and sending the list out for the rest of the year, so at least we can stay on track. I'm not sure that we have anything particular to discuss from the previous sessions. We have a virtual dog activity, which I think Birgit is going to come for. And I've got some updates on some of the planning permissions that have been requested. So anyway, with all of that said, Jimmy, if you'd like to give us your update.
Yeah, so not much has changed. Public Safety Center, the move-in date's been moved back now a month to sometime during August due to some type of fiber.
Jimmy, could you speak up a little bit, please?
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Is that better?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so Public Safety Center, the new move-in date has been moved to sometime in August due to a fiber optics issue, I'm told. So they have to lay down new fiber optics, which is pushing things back. Last month, our department announced that our interim police chief has now become officially the new police chief, Rhonda Groshon, and she's been with the department for 25 years now. DUI numbers for June, we had 31 arrests. The average BAC was 0.14 for people who provided samples, and the high was 0.32. Other than that, I don't have much else. Does anyone have questions?
Now, Jimmy, are you seeing any overflow from the Portland prisons?
No, not really. I mean, we've been having our thefts are up, but I don't know if that's, you know, people coming over from Portland, especially at stores like Fred Meyer's, Kohl's, Home Depot. So thefts at those locations are up. But other than that, there hasn't been, I mean, if you're talking about like people protesting and things like that,
Yeah.
no.
Good.
Yeah.
Are there any?
Is there any way that we can have people mute themselves unless they're talking? Because there's a lot of noise in the background.
That's a good suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I haven't.
Oh, actually, one last thing. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
On our website, if people are interested, because I like out in public, I've had people ask me about the 8 Can't Wait initiative, and so on our Beaverton Police, like the front page, there is information if people are interested in that and how our department, you know, has already implemented those initiatives. So, just FYI.
Oh, one thing I did get to tour the facility, my wife and I, probably because I'm on one of the volunteers, BPD volunteer, and it's pretty amazing. It's beyond a significant upgrade of what you're having to live in now, but
Mm-hmm.
I encourage anybody to kind of have a chance to see it.
Oh, me too. I've seen photos of the inside. I haven't actually taken a tour myself, but just from the photos alone, it looks great.
Yeah, the captain that was in charge of the construction, the overseeing the construction, was really good.
And then someone asked, I see a question about firework. Yes, we do respond to firework complaints.
Okay, I haven't seen Stephen yet, so
Hey, Mike, can I ask Jimmy make a quick comment to Jimmy?
yes, please.
So I have a friend that lives down the street that I often hang out at her house sometimes until like late-ish, like midnight or something.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes it's fairly often that it seems like there's cars sitting there idling out in front of, what is it, the Wildwood Mini Park that's right next to us, like almost across the street from Gary.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't know if it's like drug deals or what's going on, but it's generally like somebody's just sitting there hanging out in their car with the engine running. Maybe they're just going over to make a phone call, but it's just kind of an odd time of night.
Okay. You said around what time?
Like between like 12 midnight, 12:30, something like that.
And it's pretty consistent?
Fairly consistent, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is weird because the park's not open. I'll let our night cars know.
Okay.
Control that area.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, Crystal, did that California license plate car ever move across the street from your house?
They did finally just a week or so ago, and I noticed that they're now over off of Sexton Mountain with the rest of the apartment cars. So they were obviously over there. I don't know why they left their car there for 3 weeks, but our notes didn't do anything, and the police said they wouldn't tow it, and so it just sat there.
So, did they tell you why they wouldn't tow it?
Yeah, actually, I called, and then an officer came out, and he said that because of COVID, they're not towing cars, unless
I see.
it's completely totaled or something like that. And obviously the expired license didn't mean anything to them either. Like, they're just, sorry, we can't do anything.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't issue tickets right now because of COVID for expired tags.
Right. Yeah. But he's like, it can stay there till forever. We can't do anything.
Well, until at least I assume until this COVID thing is over. Yeah.
Yeah, that's forever at this moment.
Yeah. Okay.
It was really interesting that big log truck, that log tree cutting van disappeared. It got towed. So whether it was broken down and someone sent a tow truck to pick it up, but it was actually towed away.
It got towed the day after our meeting when we talked about it.
Yep. Yeah, I thought that was really good. Something happened.
I did drive.
Mike,
I drove by right the next day just to look at, to see what you guys were talking about.
Good job, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Good job.
But
Officer.
it's back though.
It was towed for mechanical purposes. It went into the tow shop.
Oh,
Right.
good.
I was like, it's back now. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw another one back down the street towards Murray. I don't know, a couple of days ago.
Yeah, one was parked off right up to my drive again, and you couldn't
saw
see
that.
by it to get past. So yeah, it was, but it moved later on this morning, so that made it a little bit easier. Okay.
I just wanted to clarify really quick the question about fireworks. It was actually a question about quantity. Did the Beaverton Police Department respond to many complaints about illegal fireworks this year?
I don't know the exact numbers. I know we had 2 officers just dedicated to respond to only firework calls. So when I left work around 9 p.m. that night, we had, I think, 5 or 6 calls already just by 9 p.m. And I know the officers responded to those at least. So I can only imagine how many more calls came as the night went on. Now, if you want actual numbers, I could probably
Thank you.
have it offhand. Yeah.
Okay, Steve isn't here yet, so let's move on to the city update.
All
Is
right.
that you, Francis?
That is me in lieu of Miles this evening. So in terms of July news, so the first one, Jimmy already touched on some parts of this, but the city has come out with its statement regarding Black Lives Matter. Beaverton prides itself on being a diverse and welcoming community. We are listening and working to address heartfelt concerns brought to our attention by community members about systemic racism and calls for equity. We are committed to a path that brings us closer to where we need to be. As a city, Beaverton has invested in policies and programs to help make our work accessible to all community members who call our city home. Beaverton's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Plan, first adopted in 2015, was updated in 2019 and is a guiding document for internal and external efforts. The Beaverton City Council passed a resolution denouncing systemic racism at the June 9th City Council meeting. The resolution announces the city's promise to support nonviolent protests and dismantle longstanding actions that harm people of color, as well as a commitment to eliminate racism in city structures and practices. In addition, Mayor Denny Doyle signed the My Brother's Keeper Alliance pledge led by former President Obama and committed to review city policies, seek community input, communicate findings, and reform our community's police use of force policies. Community engagement and conversation sessions are being planned. For more information and next steps, visit beavertonoregon.gov/be-heard. And I'll go ahead and put that in the chat here when I'm done for folks to be able to look at that. As for city buildings, Washington County remains in phase 1 reopening, and city buildings will continue to provide most services remotely and keep buildings closed to the public for in-person visits and business through at least Sunday, July 19th. Some services, such as the library and Beaverton Municipal Court, may begin limited in-person visits sooner with distancing and other safeguards. City services remain available for remote business by phone or online, including housing and business resources, mediation and culturally specific services, building permits and applications, utility billing, and more. Library programs, city events, and meetings and other activities are happening virtually. In addition, Beaverton City Library has launched BCL to Go, a contactless curbside pickup service at the main library. 5 days a week, library card holders can make an appointment at beavertonlibrary.org/BCL to go. And again, I'll put that link in the chat as well, to pick up current holds that are in held status, as well as up to 3 book bundles for kids geared toward a specific reading level or interest. Book drops at the main library and the Murray Shoals branch are open to receive returns. Materials are quarantined for 72 hours before getting checked in, so it may take several days before patrons see returned items off their account. Fines are not being charged from materials returned past their due date. Access to computers by appointment for a limited number of people at the main library is planned to begin in early July. Face coverings will be required for all library visitors. For more information regarding library resources and services, visit beavertonlibrary.org. Beaverton Municipal Court will begin to reopen in a very limited capacity, specifically for criminal arraignments and specific instances where defendants are unable to use technology to access remote hearing options. To ensure the safety of both court users and staff, the courtroom setting has undergone an update to add floor markings for appropriate distancing, rearranged furniture, added plexiglass barriers, and will offer face coverings. For more information, please visit beavertonoregon.gov/court or call 503-526-2290. And for the latest on city services and closures, visit beavertonoregon.gov/coronavirus. And that's all I've got. Does anyone have any questions?
Hey, Gary, is there any way that you can mute yourself?
Okay, is that the little button on the bottom left?
Yeah,
Oh, it says mute, yeah, duh.
thank you.
And an easy way for folks that might not know this fun feature of Zoom, if you mute yourself and then just use the space bar, you can unmute yourself for the portion like while you're speaking, and then it will automatically mute you again once you release the space bar. So it helps you to not forget muting and unmuting.
That's very useful. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Any questions?
Thank you very much for your update.
All right.
So we're now on to Gary for the BCCI update.
Now we can't hear you, Gary.
Gary, you have to unmute.
Sorry, bad
Thank you.
timing.
Yeah. No, I trust now I'm coming through. The last meeting was basically well attended. The discussion was this: the city is reopening, gently. There is a target date out there. I do have a date, but I'm sure Francisca's got a more current date. People are basically still working from home, as I understand it. There was a list of summer events that were basically canceled. There's just not a lot going on this summer that the city normally sponsors, but I think a number of neighborhoods found themselves in the same spot as we. And there's a chalk event downtown and a small downtown library display that's going on during the month. Councilor Arnold talked a bit about the Black Lives Matter issues and summarized that. And the city council is working on the standards and characteristics they're looking for in a city manager based on the passage of the city charter, which creates a spot for a city manager. With that in mind, the grants committee met and took a number of actions, and since Frosty is with us tonight, I think it's probably a good idea to let him update you on that. With that, the one other item that we talked about for a bit was a spring voters forum, and or excuse me, a fall voters forum. The spring voters forum was very well attended, and the fall voters forum is scheduled for shortly before the elections. So with that, I will answer questions if anybody has any, and if not, then I'm going to just hand this off to Frosty for the grants section.
We had a June 22nd Zoom grant committee meeting, and we had two grants that we pretty much approved. One was the Chalkart Festival for the summer of 2020, and then the Highland Neighborhood Cleanup. That's going to be in the fall of 2020. And then that was pretty much it for that.
Hey, thank you. Any questions for the BCCI? Okay, well, thank you very much. Birgit, it's nice to see you join us. If you would like to do your presentation now.
And Birgit, you have permissions to be able to do screen share. Oh, perfect. Great.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Yeah, mine sent me a presentation, so I wasn't sure if you knew that you could actually do that yourself.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, we thought the meeting starts at 7, so
Oh,
yeah. So sad. Anyway, so first of all, okay, that does not work like that. Okay, well, fine. We're just gonna go through this piece here. Okay, so what we, Jen and I have been talking about with also Frosty is COVID Pet Cup, virtual pet walk run activity that we want to basically promote during the time now. We came up with a lot of options for participations, but this is what we boiled it down to. And what we are thinking is a virtual 1K or 5K walk run with your pet, with your stuffed animal, with whatever. And then have maybe a video and pictures for challenges. So like pet trick video or a look-alike photo or something with your pet. And then there was also an idea of social distance dog show organized by the community families. There's more details to that. And, you know, people could do it. We have to, these are just ideas. And we also thought of optional donations to animal rescue charities. While this is happening, people might want to just do that. And then each participant, in whichever way they participate, would be entered in a drawing of prizes. That's the options for participation. The goal for the for this whole project is to creating community in this time. You know, being separated like that doesn't really. Can you all see my? Yeah, okay, because I have now all the screens full with this. So anyway, so creating community amongst everybody, being flexible and inclusive. You know, like you can do this obviously also without a pet, but we thought this could be a great way of also bringing some pet awareness to the community, but also to have some fun and tap into another area that we have maybe not looked at so much. And we also thought that, for example, people could, you know, walk their family's pet that might not live with them, but live somewhere else. And then this is definitely family oriented because it obviously involves the kids. They could walk with their stuffed animal if they wanted to, or even adults can do that if they like to. So we see that as a real fun thing that could cheer up people at any time. Now, how that would look like as the virtual walk could happen at any time by anybody, but we also have some other ideas that could connect people while they are doing their virtual walk. And we thought we would do this at the end of August through the month of September, so we give people time to do it. I mean, that means also they can prep their pets for tricks and whatever else. And it kind of will be in conjunction with all these other celebrations that I found, like the National Dog Day and the National Dog Week in September, Deaf Pet Awareness Week, and then the most important one, obviously, the Dogs in Politics Day. And then the location would be anywhere in neighborhood parks, or you could also just walk maybe on a hike or something. And then that would be posted online in whatever media we are looking for, maybe on the websites that we have available, or in Facebook, and then people enter that way the drawing if they post their accomplishments there. Okay, so lastly, what we need is committee volunteers for sign up, registration, posting of the results in Facebook, Nextdoor, or other media. There are all kinds of options that we have found. Some people have already said they could help with that. The administration of the whole thing, promotion of this project, and then we need judges for judging the pictures and the videos and such things. And then soliciting prices would be another thing, or maybe you know, getting this together. Medals, participation certificates, and gift cards, for example. Okay, so what's next would be, we are presenting to other NACs and applying for the matching grant. And if anybody's interested, we would ask you to contact either me, Birgit, or Jen, or End, whichever. And then our next planning meeting is actually on the 20th of July, 7 p.m. and it will be a maximum an hour virtually. And then we go from there. Questions?
I just wanted to jump on real quick. I apologize for being late. This is Jen Barker, and Birgit and I have been quickly throwing together the planning for this. So I just wanted to introduce myself real quick since I was late to the meeting.
Jen is the vice president of the NAC for Greenway, and will be present starting soon, right?
Starting, I have been for the current year 2020. However, we've had very few meetings due to COVID. So our next meeting will be next Tuesday, the 14th, via Zoom meeting similar to this. It'll be our first Zoom meeting with our NAC, and we're fingers crossed going to have good participation. Hopefully more people can participate via that conduit. So excited.
So it sounds very interesting, Birgit and Jennifer. The piece I am still grappling with is, so you have a virtual walk, but you're just taking videos of the walk and then posting those, or I'm just trying to see where the 1K or 5K walk comes in. Is it something how are you representing that?
You have different. Oh, sorry. It would be self-administered, really. We had talked about, and we do, that's part of our planning meeting that's coming up, is how we can detail it, but it's going to be pretty much on the honor system. We talked about encouraging people to post it on their neighborhood NACs, either Facebook page or other social media like the neighborhood conduit, in order to not only just to prove that they participated, but also to kind of gain interest from other people in the neighborhood to participate as well. But that's part of the details that we'll be working out as to how we're going to administer that. And so we're hoping to get more volunteers to come to our next planning meeting so that we can start hammering out those details and then really putting together the plan to promote it.
So the idea would be they would walk around a park for 5K.
Yeah, exactly. So it could be 5K or 1K. They can measure it with whatever devices they want to measure it with, and they can take pictures and then post it and say, here, I walked in this park, and so that we also get to know our neighborhood, but also to, like Jen was saying, elicit more interest in what's going on. And so it definitely could be a variety of ways to do it.
Okay,
This is
I'm not going to be
Richard.
available for the 20th, but I'm just wondering whether it be they could actually walk between the parks.
Yeah.
So we have Highton Park here, and we have several other parks. So actually do, if you mapped it out, they could do it at different times, but they could walk around from one park to another.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, right.
That's
Okay.
the idea, that it's self-paced. That's why we're opening it over a broad period, that you have any day, any time within that time period to participate in whatever option you choose, whether it's the walk, whether you just want to post a video of your pet doing a trick, whether it's you want to enter the pet lookalike contest. We're trying to come up with a variety of different options that people, so it's flexible and so that it's inclusive to everybody.
And the matching grant is for prizes, or is it with you get a certain amount of money and then you donate it to one of the animal rescues or something?
No, yeah, well, let's say yes instead of no. The matching grant would be for prizes and for possibly maybe having to set up certain media. I don't know exactly whether there could be a cost incurred by that. We were not sure, and then possibly if like it works out, we would also like to donate to whichever charity works for us here. So that and maybe or just split it among a group of different charities that would could benefit from this.
Okay.
So as an example of this, my neighbor over here, she and her husband participated in a half marathon virtual run walk event a week or two ago, and they did training runs, but there was a route between the Selwood Bridge and the downtown Portland. They went between the Tillicum Bridge and Selwood one day, and then they did a half marathon finally after they'd done the training runs. And that, I don't know who organized that, but that's an example of this kind of an event that you can do online.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I did the same thing. I did a 19K run virtually and, like training for it and all that kind of stuff. And then posting the training. That would be also something if people wanted to show what they are doing. And they can do it multiple times. We can also, like Jen said, there are lots of options that are possible. Like we could lay out an area like here from here to here, or we give people the freedom to walk wherever they walk. I had in the paper, there were, this is not done very much. I have looked all over the states, and I found 2 other places where they did a virtual pet walk. And they did it mostly because they had already planned a physical pet walk, and now they had to come up with an idea to do it differently. And so they, that's where that one dog comes from. But they then came up with this, and they set up a route for the people to walk on. And then people walked on that, and some of them, like at the same time, but, keeping distance.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
I think this is a good thing to be involved in. I think it's definitely giving people the ability to be involved in something during the summer. My only other suggestion would be whether there are people in our neighborhood that are struggling to find food for their pets because they've been laid off or they're struggling, whether that would be something else that if we know of a need, whether that's something that the funds could be used for to help somebody out in that way. So that would just be another comment. Any other
that's a really
comments?
good idea. That is a really great idea. I'm gonna make a note of that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
we
going to
could
shut up
even-
now and let somebody else speak.
Yeah, I like the idea. It could be like a food drive for pets. So that would be kind of fun too.
Yeah.
And it would definitely help the neighborhood, because I know some people, I heard recently someone else was just laid off from one of the stores. And it was quite a surprise because the store's still open, but they've started laying people off as well.
Mm.
Anyone else with any comments?
Well, there's people walking animals all over the place. And when we were talking with Jennifer and Birgit, I think there was one person walking a cat with a leash.
Yes. Yeah, behind my house, there's a person who walks their cat on a leash daily, which I don't know how they get that to happen because my cat would not tolerate it, but I was impressed.
Okay, is there any other comments? Okay, if we can send the details out via email. Francesca, are you still on? She was rebooting her.
Yeah, I don't
modem.
think she's back yet.
Okay.
Doesn't look like.
I sent you the presentation,
Okay.
but I also, you have also that other document. So
Okay. I will try and pass that around and make sure people get a contact of that. And when you have your meeting, I'll actually not be in the state at the time, so maybe when I get back, I can touch base with you and we can work.
Oh, that would
out.
be great. Yes, I can put our emails here in the chat if you want that.
Yeah, that will be good. Okay. Any other questions? Any other comments?
Is there anything like specific that you are requesting like our NAC to help out with?
Well, the Frosty was telling us that you guys have volunteer hours or money that you were looking for to donate towards another project. So we are asking for. I thought Frosty had said that already, but sorry. Yeah, that was also one of the reasons why we are presenting it to you, and you're next door to Greenway, so it would be a good idea to work together on this, I think. And Greenway needs a lot of help because Jen knows, so I'm not saying anything new here. We have never done anything, right? I live in Greenway, so we have never done anything like this. So we really would love your expertise in this as well, so we can really move forward. And you know what I also think is this is not like a one specific, I mean, it could involve more, we could actually probably say, Vos, would you like to jump in? But it would be Beaverton wide. People could do it Beaverton wide. So it's just that we are here in Greenway. And so then we thought, okay, Frosty and I talked. And so that's when that all came about. So
yeah,
I'm also in the matching grant committee. So that's why, and I was the chair of BCCI. I didn't even say that. That's why I think my whole idea is always to bring everybody together to create something big like that.
Yeah, I had mentioned too, when we had the meeting with Jennifer and Birgit, I mentioned that we had decided to cancel, but we still have a lot of hours, and that we were looking for something that would be worthwhile to either participate with or donate our hours, if that's something that Francesca and Miles and would allow that to happen. Lonnie as well, and so this would sound interesting because you see people walking all over the place. I think if we were to do this even to NAC wise or even city, we're going to need to set up a specific route, and kind of like Richard was saying with his friend, there was probably a specific route, right, Richard? You're muted, by the way, but there was probably a specific route. Yeah, he's shaking his head.
Yeah.
So that's something you can work out on the 20th. If there's anybody from our Movie in the Park committee that would like to help with that, that would be great. And Birgit can send me or Mike the Zoom information. Is that what you're going to do? Have a Zoom call?
Yes. Yeah, that's the plan.
And anything that we can do to help Jennifer, the new president, to grow her NAC participation would be good too, I think.
Okay. Any other comments before we move on? Again, thank you, Birgit and Jennifer, for that suggestion. It looks like it could be a good deal of fun. I know that there are several dog owners amongst us, so I'm not sure my dog could actually walk that far anymore. He's getting a little bit old for that. We could probably carry him.
Yeah, maybe get a wagon.
Yeah, we already have a pushchair, and I'm embarrassed because I never want to push it because it's like people come up and say, "Oh, you got a dog and not a baby." No, that's not. The British in me struggles with taking a dog for a walk in a pushchair.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for making the suggestion.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. So South Beaverton NAC update. There's not much going on. We did cancel our summer fair. To be honest, I was really hopeful that this whole Corona thing would have been slowed down by now, and we'd be getting to a point where, yeah, we can get back into at least doing a smaller version of what we were planning, but obviously not. So this summer is probably going to be off. But if we want to talk about a little bit more about this dog run, I think that would be quite fun. I wanted to give you a quick update. I asked Miles and the Planning Commission to find out about the 2 planning groups that we had going over the last couple of months. After last month's meeting with the church that was looking to do their extension to extend their school, the feedback we have now is that they have had pre-conferences and they're continuing with neighborhood meetings. They haven't actually filed any planning permission yet. The Southridge Park, they've submitted their paperwork for site development permits. It's the understanding at the moment those permits have not yet been issued because they're still under review. But Deb, I don't know if you heard anything other than that. Okay, so they were the 2 updates of the planning permissions that we were following.
I hadn't even heard that anything more had been submitted, so. That's
right, I thought I'd find out because I hadn't heard anything either. It'd gone very quiet, so I thought I'd get Miles and the planning people to give me a response. So they did that. I have nothing else. Has anyone else got anything? We'll go into the roundtable. It looks like we're going to finish early today.
I had a question, probably for Francisca. As I read the city newsletter, a lot of the things that had been set up regarding COVID, like the shelter being open, it was all talked about in past tense. And so I was just wondering about that, like, and did we have numbers of how many people actually used the shelter when it was open? Is it still open? And if it's not, where do we think all those people went?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. And I actually, it's no longer open, but let me pull up my email really quick here. I can get you those numbers. So it closed June 1st. And let me take a look here. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so the numbers regarding the shelter were, they came from our cultural inclusion program, because those are the folks that manage the shelter. And in terms of the numbers of folks that they served, so I'll just read the article. It says, Beaverton Severe Weather Shelter closed June 1st after an extended season to support adults experiencing homelessness and in response to COVID-19. During its regular winter season, the BSWS was open for a total of 29 days between its planned and extra inclement weather days. Just as the winter season was wrapping up, the city and Just Compassion of East Washington County were asked to extend services as part of a coordinated county plan to help flatten the curve of COVID among homelessness. Secure housing in order to shelter in place, folks experiencing homelessness lacked a place to do so, and we were struggling with decreased access to basic services and facilities. With the extension, the shelter shifted to being open 7 days a week, 20 hours per day for a total of 63 additional nights. During this period, operations were modified to include extra distancing and other health precautions due to COVID-19. The extended shelter served up to 25 enrolled adults, with priority given to higher risk populations, and offered breakfast, dinner, and lunches to go. Services also included on-site showers for the first time through an innovative community partnership. Shower access was provided 3 times a week for guests, and a total of 400 showers were taken over the course of the season. Now that BSWS is closed, Just Compassion offers day center resources 3 times a week, including meals, access to restrooms, internet, phones, clothing, resource information, and referrals to services. And then it just talks about the city also having portable restrooms. So at this point, the folks that are in charge of trying to manage the resources for folks in the community is being delegated back to Just Compassion of Washington County, of East Washington County. So there isn't currently anything that the city specifically is providing in terms of shelter services, but I know that it's something that they are looking at in terms of going forward, how to create the funding and the resources to be able to expand that, since they were able to do that this time because of the circumstances. So I don't have a super great answer for you at this time, unfortunately, but that's all the information that I have from the program that's in charge of the shelter. And in terms of other services that were established for COVID or other procedures and protocols, all of the most up-to-date information is on the Beaverton, Oregon coronavirus webpage. But if there's something specifically that you were wondering aside from the shelter, I'd be happy to try to speak to it.
No, well, specifically the shelter, especially since, you know, like so past tense, it had closed, but yeah. Like in terms of services during the day, a lot of those people would go to the library.
Right.
And so the library's still not open. And so, right. But it sounds like it's not city, like it's not anything to do with the city in terms of, again, answering that question of where those people went. I would assume that they all didn't get into housing, and so.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I can't say specifically, but I know that we've been coordinating pretty heavily with our partner organizations within within our jurisdiction to try to refer people to where resources are being made available. We just unfortunately weren't able to continue, keeping the shelter open past June 1st.
Is the safe parking program still operating?
Yeah,
because that was the community center was also a safe parking site, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah, let me look that up here really quick. I don't know how that was impacted because of COVID. I haven't heard anything specifically on that, but I can reach out to the person the person who's in charge of the shelter is also in charge of the safe parking program, and I can get that information to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other roundtable business that anyone may have?
Mike, I wanted to raise a real preliminary issue that's kind of coming together. There are some neighbors interested in perhaps resolving or reducing some of the parking on Sexton Mountain Drive that's been it's grown quite a bit. It's becoming a bit of a safety and congestion issue. There's a number of questions that they're trying to pull together right now, but I wanted to give you you and everybody else, a bit of a heads up that that's likely coming, and to get some indication or gauge the idea of support to work with the city to perhaps resolve that, or at least reduce its presence and impact.
Thanks, Gary. Yeah, I missed the first like 30 seconds of what you said. My internet regrettably cut out again. From what I heard from what you said, it sounds like there's an excess of parking on Sexton Mountain Drive that's becoming.
Yeah, it's been an issue that we have experienced for probably a year and a half now.
Yeah, ever since the ownership changed from Regency Heights to whatever it is now.
Right.
And it seems as though what I'm hearing is that the street is viewed as an alternative to on-site parking.
Okay. And what street is this? Sorry.
This is Sexton Mountain
Drive,
okay.
east of Murray. So basically, from Sexton Mountain to where it makes the turn south onto Secretariat.
So I think, Gary, in response from our end, because we sit right in the middle of it, yes, I think there's a lot of support for doing something about it. Whether we go for a no parking zone on one side, that's something that we can always look at. We do have some no parkings in certain positions.
Right.
For the guy that lives just down from us, he's saying what happens now is people park their car right in front of his mailbox and he can't get in or out. So
yeah, that's Jim Feder,
yeah,
I believe.
Yeah, Jim
right.
has had some concerns about that.
Sure.
So, and we've had more of these tree services trucks parked, which today they parked opposite each other, which made the lane extremely narrow for getting in and out. You couldn't get two cars easily passing each other.
Yeah,
so, yes.
I've run in. It's particularly bad in the winter when the light is there is no light basically in the middle of the winter, even in late afternoon, and oncoming headlights are difficult and you're narrowing. But there's a variety of issues that accompany this, and I think this neighbor group is going to want to work with the city, and I think it's a good idea to get the NAC involved in it. But I'm just trying to gauge support.
So my recommendation, Gary, is that they do take it through the NAC. The NAC is what the city has given them as a voice for working these issues, and we have successfully worked them before. So what I'll do is I'll talk to Miles and then the traffic control people and find out what our options are.
So I know that Sexton Mountain Drive also, I'm just trying to get my coordinates here. Are you talking about the Sexton Mountain NAC that folks need to be going through this, or you're talking?
South Beaverton NAC.
Side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Sexton Mountain Drive is basically it's close to the north boundary of the South Beaverton NAC.
Okay.
From Beaverton east.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, from Murray. Excuse me.
From Murray east, yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk to Miles tomorrow
right
about.
in front of Highland Forest Park.
Okay.
If you look up Highland Forest Park, that's on Sexton Mountain. So it's that part of Sexton Mountain, right?
Great. Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to Miles about it tomorrow and see what we can do in terms of working with the traffic engineer, Job Ricascio, and, potentially working with traffic commission and see what, obviously there's a process for traffic calming, but for something of this nature, I'm not totally sure what the process is for, asking for parking regulations on a residential street, but I'll look into that and get back to you.
Okay, good.
I'll tell you in Northwest Portland, and I used to work at Good Samaritan Hospital for 14 years there. They had similar problems with, when you have something like 1,500 to 2,000 employees coming and going, and they end up building parking structures, but that always didn't fill. I mean, you had patients that needed to park there too. So, but you had a number of restrictions, parking restrictions, where if you were going to park in front of your house, you actually had to have a sticker that on your car that said you are allowed to park there. And if you didn't, you'd get towed. And there were certain time frames, particularly in the evening when people are coming home from work, that you better have moved your car if you're going to be parking in that area. And a lot of this, now in those cases, a lot of those older homes had, you know, maybe one car garages back in the 40s or 30s or 20s when those big houses were built, but or someplace to tie their horse. But there's a number of things that I know the city of Portland has done over the decades with that I don't see why. There may be something in Beaverton charter that doesn't allow it now, but it's something that could be done.
Yeah, the one comment I will say though is that we have to be very careful what we do here, because what we're going to do is push the problem somewhere else. So that's what we found when you restrict it in one area, they just go find somewhere else on street parking to park, and we could end up going further up Marriott, not Marriott.
That would be right
Maverick.
in front of my house, yeah.
Yeah, we'll move it up in front of your house. You don't mind.
No.
Or it'd be in front of Gary's. It'd be in front of Gary's house at the bottom of the drive. You know.
Yeah.
There you go.
Or in,
Mike,
our cul-de-sac, and yeah.
No, I mean, I think honestly the issue is that that apartment complex doesn't, they have all these garages that people don't use, and then everyone parks on the street. Like the issue is with the apartment complex and not providing parking for their tenants.
Right.
Francisca, or through Mike, I think there might be a land use issue involved as well. And it would be helpful to have a contact in the planning department or community development when you're finding out who to talk to in transportation.
Okay.
And really this issue has been going on, I mean, since we've lived here. I think it's gotten consistently worse in the last year and a half. But if you remember, those of us who were on the committee to fight the Cobb property development, that was one of our main arguments, was the parking was horrible back then. And that was, what, 6 years ago?
Yeah, it's definitely got worse.
Which apartment complex are you referring to in terms of the garages and not having adequate parking?
It used to be Regency Heights, and it was sold, and I don't know the name of it now.
It's Terra. It used to be Terra, but I think it's no Solar or something.
It's on the southwest corner of Murray and Sexton Mountain Drive.
Okay.
Southeast.
Right across from the Cobb Park property.
Okay.
It's just being bought by another California firm.
Yeah, it's a southeast corner of that intersection.
Okay.
Southwest.
Actually, northeast of Sexton Mountain and Murray.
But the corner, the southwest corner of, well, you know, depending which way you're facing, it would be the northeast corner if you're standing in the middle of Murray. But it's right across from Sexton Mountain Park. I mean, excuse me, Cobb Property Park.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you,
well,
Francisca. That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary, for raising that. I think we've become dumb to it for a while because we thought it didn't go anywhere. But yes, I think we need to look at it again.
Yeah, obviously there is interest.
Oh yeah, a lot of interest.
Well, I agree.
It's gotten worse with people working at home.
Yes, for sure. But I agree with you, Mike, that there are certain measures that could just push the cars farther down into the neighborhood. Like, I don't know if there's anything that can be done with the apartment complex themselves.
Well,
that's why I was saying I'd like to do a holistic approach, that we don't just do it in isolation, because it will just push it somewhere else.
Well, plus people are supposed to park there to go to the forest as well. So how do you stop them from parking?
Right. And they will still need to park because they typically come and walk their dog through there. So I've seen many people stop, walk their dog, and then move on again. So.
Right.
My understanding is that the owners started charging $100 for the garages separate from their apartments. So that's when people said, no, thanks.
Maybe we'll start charging them $100 to park outside.
I've heard that same thing numerous times.
Okay. So let me move on from that. A good point, and we'll follow up on that one, Gary. Thank you. I just wanted to run through the schedule for the rest of the NACs for the rest of the year. 13th of August, 10th of September, 8th of October, 12th of November, and 10th of December. So they are the ones for the new virtual meetings. They're all the second Thursday, and I'm ingraining them so I don't mess up like I did this time.
Are we starting at 6:30 instead of 7?
Yeah, we requested a 6:30 start because if we're not traveling there, we think that works. If it doesn't, then just let me know now.
It works for me, although I can't come next month. I'll be out of town.
Okay, well, it's virtual. It doesn't matter. You can still dial in.
Well, as of now, there's a potential sort of social distancing family family gathering that happens every year, but there's like the majority of people aren't coming. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks. It may be totally called off.
I was only joking. Enjoy.
No, I know.
Okay. So there are all the dates, and I will put them out, and I'll send an email. And again, Francisca, if you can get me the emails, I'll make sure that we email everyone who's attended in the past. That way, we hopefully can improve.
Mike, it might be good to update the neighborhood city webpage that we're second Thursday instead of third Thursday.
I will check with Miles because I thought they were doing that. Sorry.
Yeah, I just want to see what it says here. I have the capability to do that as well.
Okay.
I know it has the date of the next meeting, but that for me was, we had been third Thursday. And so that's when I had the meeting on my calendar, and I scheduled something else for a different Thursday night. And then when it got moved, and again, it was this sort of, it's moved virtually for now, but how long is that going to be? And
well, maybe what I can do is I can just put the dates, since the dates for the rest of 2020 are held, just so that folks don't see second Thursday and then assume it's forever second Thursday.
Right.
Yeah, if we can put the dates to the end of the year, that will be great.
Yeah, can you just read those off to me really quick? I'm just going to put them in the chat here. So August, you said
August 13th,
mm-hmm.
September 10th, October 8th, November 12th, December 10th.
Perfect. Yep, I'll add those to the calendar. I'll add those to the webpage.
Okay. So, Heidi, financials.
Financials. Yes. So Mike deposited our reimbursement check from the South. What was it? What's the development? The development that we.
Southridge.
It was the Southridge part.
Yes. So the $250 got deposited today. We have a balance of $7,224.22. As of now, we don't have a summer fair or anything we're earmarked funds to spend anything on. So there's not much to report there.
Could you give me the number again? 7,000?
7,224.22. And I think it might be like $50 higher than that because I think the bank holds some of that as pending.
Okay.
So.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like we would have the money if the board chose to support the dog walk and partner with Greenway.
Yes,
yeah.
I think we would.
Yep.
What I would like, Frosty, if you can,
I didn't commit, by the way. I just said that it was a possibility if the board approved.
Yeah. So what I'd like, Frosty, is if they can come back with a more fleshed out proposal, and then I think the next meeting in August we could approve it or take it to the board for approval.
I'll try to get on their July 20th meeting, and
okay.
I don't have a lot of time to work on the committee itself, but to kind of push them to get more specifics.
Okay. Well, I have until the 13th of August. They could come back in and present it, and then we can vote at the end of it.
We could have a real zoo of dogs and cats.
Yes. Pigeons and parrots and goldfish.
Yeah. Walk your ferret.
Or we could walk a couple of raccoons that are around here. And just for Crystal, I did get one of the moles.
Yay!
So I now have no more growing holes down my driveway. We started off with one. Within a week, it got to 9. And then at the end of 2 weeks, I had 19 holes all the way down my driveway.
When did you get it?
Last week, I left the trap in the hole after they filled the hole in. But the problem was they then came back and decided to clear the hole out, and it got it the second time round. So I put 2 traps in the ground. And what they did was they shoveled dirt all around the trap so that it wouldn't go off. So I gave up trying to deal with it, and then they came back afterwards and tried to re-dig it out, and the trap got it. So
We have a new hole, but I'm trying to think when it was. I think it was last week. But
oh well, I have 3 more in my front lawn now, so they just moved somewhere else.
Don't send them my way.
By the way,
No, you don't want them. Yeah, my house is actually sinking.
Apartment complex.
right.
Oh, that's
Maybe you could
good.
trade cars for moles.
Yeah, that would be good.
I like it.
I just got an email notification. Birgit is on the ball. She just, Francesca, she just emailed you and Miles, maybe you saw it, about setting up a Zoom meeting on the 20th. So she's jazzed.
Okay.
I can't quite picture how all of that would go. I mean,
I know.
virtual.
It sounds like fun. I mean, if you didn't have to be virtual,
Then it would be a blast. I just can't picture.
I guess the only concern I'd have is with dog fights, you know. But
No, they're going to have to set up like a web page or a page on Facebook or whatever, and you basically enter, and then you post your your picture of you doing it virtually. So you don't have to have, if you can track your own distance, you can do it anywhere. And then it was like, this is the day I did it, and this is my pet, and you post that on whatever website they have set up. And then
I think I might be a good thing to take instead of a sleeping pill to watch somebody walk a 5K.
well, you can do that, but yeah.
Hey, Richard, you mentioned your friend did a virtual half marathon. Is there a policy? Were there some procedures that you can get a hold of, or Deb?
So it was set up by Paula Harkin. A Run with Paula event, and she and her husband Dave own the Portland Running Company. Yeah. So there's a store in Beaverton, and
it's over on Shoals. Yeah.
Right, and they also have one in Northwest, but they're the ones that set that up, and they've done in real life races too, but this was a virtual one. My husband actually did it, and so they you can post your time, you post what distance you do and what your time was, and they gave out prizes, and they had shirts and all kinds of stuff. So
Deborah, Richard, if you could find the procedures that they used, send them to me. I will make sure that Birgit and Deb and Jennifer gets them.
Okay.
Well, like she was saying, Paula Harkin with the Portland Running Company is the one who would have procedures and has organized that, and she would be the resource.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if you can get that, that'd be great. I'd appreciate that.
They're also the ones that did the Beaverton
You can get that
marathon.
yourself. You can get that yourself by calling Paula Harkin.
Right now, I am up to here. So.
Okay.
So they were also the ones that did the Beaverton half marathon.
All right.
And which is canceled this year, but and I was actually going to be, because I volunteered at one of the aid stations for the half marathon, and when they did it last year, there were out on social media, and they sent out postcards about the route, and if you lived inside this particular neighborhood, there was going to be, you weren't going to be able to get out of your neighborhood during certain hours. And so we actually knew about that, and it was a Sunday morning. We knew ahead of time, and so we went and parked one of our cars at a friend's house and that we could walk to, so that we had a car so that we could leave to go to church in East Portland. So, but there were all kinds of people that were very upset that they couldn't get out of their neighborhood because of the streets being closed for the half marathon. So there's no half marathon this summer, but it was run with Paula and Paula Harkin that were in charge of that the last couple of years. So
now they can't leave their house anyway.
right.
It was a forerunner. All right. A forerunner. Did you not get the joke? Oh, come on,
Yes,
guys. I'm working really hard. Okay. Okay, if there is nothing else, I thank everyone. I thank you, Francesca, for working so late and for chairing the meeting and for keeping us in order. Thank you, Crystal, for helping us mute. I hadn't thought about that, but yes, I appreciated that. It made it a lot easier to hear everyone. So thank you, Jimmy, for joining us. We really appreciate your participation. And again, keep up the good work. We thank you for all your efforts. And
Thank you. Appreciate it.
okay, everyone, I will close the meeting unless anyone has any more comments, and I will look forward to seeing you on the 13th of August if I get back from Wisconsin.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great evening.
Good night, folks.
Good night.